Welcome back. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, and today we're going to be talking about the RWA market.
On Solana.
On Solana. That's key point there.
Yeah, we got to check back in on the old Solana Ruski, dude.
Man, we've been around the globe on this one. So we've been to Ethereum, Bitcoin.
Like you're talking about overall?
Overall, Robinhood.
Yeah, man.
Solana.
We're making circles, that's for sure. But
yeah,
it's not our fault, right? We're just simply trying to track down this invisible hand.
That's right.
And like, you know,
it's invisible.
It's your fault. It's all y'all's fault out there. Is like what it is that attracts your gaze.
Yeah.
But right now, it's obviously, over the last couple of months, been heavily fixed on to Robinhood for good reason, good merit, right? There's a pretty critical thesis brewing around that ecosystem. But you cannot forget Solana, right? After what it did last cycle.
Yeah.
You also can't forget Ethereum L1 either, after what FWA has achieved.
Yeah.
We haven't made a follow-up video on that yet, but we will next week.
Congrats, TJ.
Yeah. Devs are cooking on Ethereum again, dude. Hopefully
Thank you. I've been here the whole time.
Yeah, these are glorious days may be returning, actually. But we have some interesting things to talk about next week in regards to Ethereum L1.
Yeah.
But for now, let's keep it to Solana because, as we talked about in the past, in case you didn't know, a little trivia knowledge, there's actually way more RWA value on Solana than on Robinhood Chain so far.
Like 20 times as much.
Yeah. Even though it might not look like it, right?
Yeah.
Like from like a DGen perspective. But that may change pretty soon, and here's why.
Yeah, the SEC could unveil tokenized stock trading exemption as soon as this Friday. So that's tomorrow. The SEC plans to advance two major crypto regulatory initiatives in the coming days, Bloomberg reported. The agency will hold an open meeting Friday to consider a tailored offering regime for certain investment contracts involving crypto assets that could unveil an innovation exemption for tokenized securities as soon as the same day. The exemption could pave the way for 24/7 blockchain-based trading of tokenized stocks while allowing public companies to object to third-party tokenizing their shares and introducing tighter anti-money laundering safeguards, potentially including a requirement that trading platforms be U.S. entities.
Interesting.
Yeah, so this is happening on Friday, and my suspicion is that if it goes down on Friday and it gets greenlit, it's just going to allow 24/7 trading of stocks, and if you're American, you can't touch these things.
Still.
Now, I could be wrong. Maybe it's like, I just really doubt it just because there's a whole regulatory apparatus that's been set up for the last 100 years.
Right.
And they're just not going to flip it off.
Well, let's hope so, dude. Let's hope something happens because, already these things already are like trading 24/7, at least on these, in Uniswap, right? So
so I don't know. They're already there, so I don't know what.
Yeah, I guess it's more like maybe centralized exchanges, like on Binance and such.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Coinbase.
maybe so.
Like much more like obvious connection there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just broadens the pool and awareness that equities, stock market stuff. It's coming on chain, right? And that might have like a residual effect on just the interest overall into the crypto markets, right? So
yeah,
the ecosystem's kind of positioning for that wave, Robinhood being one and now Solana being another. It's worth paying attention to, right?
Yeah. So Robinhood Chain, 6 weeks old, has 443,000 asset holders. Solana, 6 years old, has 342 holders, but far more in RWA value. So this is just RWA holders, not total.
Yes. No. Yeah, this is people who own. I'm not sure if stablecoins qualify here. They might be excluded.
I think they're excluded. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely qualify as RWAs, but they're not like in these metrics specifically. They're talking about people who own like tokenized stocks, tokenized commodities.
Yeah.
Maybe other things like
buildings.
Stuff like that. Right. We got an interesting interview this weekend. Actually, you guys should pay attention to how crazy things could get. Right. We were talking about tokenizing tax liens.
That's right. Yeah, we interviewed Emily Jr. And I thought it was a really interesting conversation.
I did too. It really opened my eyes to, again, like the spectrum of what it is we're about to witness in the next cycle.
There's industries that we're just not aware of that are happening out there.
A lot. If you're wondering why there's like so much money around and then like you are getting none of it, it's because there's guys like him and others who like they figure out these interesting financial games.
Yeah, really nobody talks about tax liens.
Yeah, I just know, like, if I don't pay whatever, then I'm subject to these
penalties,
these liens themselves.
That's
right.
right.
I didn't know there's others out there that could profit off of my misery.
Yeah, and
so well.
And now you can too.
Yes. What a world.
Yeah.
What an amazing world we're living in.
Yeah. All right, let's continue here. All right, the number is insane. 48% of RWA volume on Robinhood came from pools paired with meme coins. Think about that for a second. Now we go to the article Solana released at the end of July talking about RWAs. It says tokenized equities are where Solana's RWA growth is accelerating fastest. As of late July 2026, 97% of all on-chain tokenized equity spot volume to date had settled on Solana. That concentration reflects Solana's emerging role as a leading venue for tokenized equity distribution and secondary activity, even as the overall category remains early relative to traditional public equity markets. So we got, so within its first month, Backpack issued securities generating $1.5 billion in trading volume. So. And now look at launch on SF as the first mover on Solana, a chain vying for a huge share in RWA pie. So launch on SF, StonkFun. So launch coins paired with equities on Solana.
Yeah, so we're back to StonkFun. Remember last week? Was it last week? Maybe it was a couple weeks ago. We talked about it. It was at like a less than $1 million market cap, maybe like hovering around $1 million. And we were looking at, the interface you were just looking at.
Yeah, we were looking at this.
We were wondering, is like, this looks a lot like long.xyz for one. I mean, it's literally the same like interface. If you remember long, that's on Robinhood. So these guys mirrored the same experience, right? Let's tokenize meme coins to stock pairs. But they added one probably critical added function to this. It's the ability for
pre-stocks.
Well, not just that, trading activity to funnel, stock tokens to the holders, right?
Yeah.
That is not what's happening on long.xyz. So this is an interesting, obvious mechanic for various reasons, right? Obviously, people want exposure to equities, but not through non-traditional means. But also, I don't know, the conversations around security implications, which nobody's really kind of bringing up yet.
Nope, nobody.
But nonetheless, it's because we're in such early days. Seems like anything is like up for grabs, right?
Yeah, but the thing that stands out to me is like I'm looking at OpenAI here.
Yeah, we were wondering.
Neuralink.
Yeah, because if you look at Butthole,
well, where's it at?
It's one of the top coins, dude. You don't think Butthole is near the top? It's slinging out Anthropic, right? So it's like that's not a public company yet. So we're like, either this platform's committing like major fraud, or they're connected to something we're not aware of. So
so we looked into it.
Yeah, we figured out how Butthole works,
Yeah, but before we show you how that butthole works.
Show your butthole?
Yeah. All right, we got a tweet here that says, why STONK might be the most asymmetric launchpad on Solana next to Pump. Coin pairing, so simple yet so genius. A feature that truly unlocks endless possibilities in crypto and opens up entirely different investor circles to on-chain markets. Right now, you can pair any meme with any stock, including pre-IPO stocks or even with another meme.
Yeah, so that was an added feature. It's like, hey, why are we stopping at stocks? Why not launch a coin paired to another coin? And the obvious first coin to kind of like really demonstrate that was Ansem, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's launch something called Manlit that's connected to Ansem. So now it's like me as a Manlit community holder, I'm receiving Ansem.
Yeah.
Which creates this like reciprocal flywheel of like ecosystem synergies, I guess.
Yeah.
And like, guess what? Ansem interacted with it. He likes the idea.
Okay.
So
so that's why it's at the top here, 4.8 million.
That is why it's at the top, and why the coin STONK itself went from like 1 million when we first discovered it to, I think at its peak, like 15 or so million. So
yeah.
That's all it takes, guys, is like, somebody like that, I guess, just to kind of like recognize your existence. And there's other fundamental reasons why this platform is pretty well positioned.
Yeah, so here it is, pre-stocks. If you look here, all these companies, all of you have heard of it. And none of them are public.
They got Neuralink on there, dude?
Neuralink. Anduril.
That's the one.
ByteDance.
Anduril's the one who makes like, that's the Palmer Lucky, right?
Correct, yeah.
Wow. So yeah, you're into his like gadgets. You think he's the next Iron Man?
Yeah, dude. Launch a token against Anduril?
Yeah, I haven't even seen that yet. So okay, how are they doing this?
Well, if you go to the FAQs and let's see, mechanics. So essentially, an enterprise holding these assets in a private enterprise, they can tokenize those assets, and they decided to remain private and
really,
not disclose who they are tokenizing these assets. But that's what they've done, and that's how they're able to access these tokenized pre-stocks.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's very similar to what Robinhood's doing with tokenized stocks, right? Where it's like they have an issuance like entity, I think somewhere in like New Jersey or something like that.
Right,
It's like a
New
holdings
Jersey.
company in New Jersey. And, that is the entity that, I guess has gone through the regulatory scrutiny to be able to do this.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if that's the same case for these guys, but it's the same model, right?
It's the same model, yeah.
Kind of like Collector Crypt holds a lot of Pokemon cards,
Exactly.
so they're able to tokenize them. Same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, there's some due diligence still into pre-stocks itself, just to make sure all this is like legit.
Yeah.
But if you go back to the homepage, there's like an alliance style backing to it, and if you understand alliance style, it's up there at the top, right underneath.
Oh yeah, backed by Alliance.
Yeah, so they're pretty reputable just because of their like position with Pump.Fun and other major Solana ecosystem like projects and such. So, they're well connected. They're well part of the Solana apparatus themselves. So I think this adds some layer of legitimacy for sure. I mean, if they're doing anything criminal here, then I feel like all of Solana is doing something criminal here. So, so if you make your
they're all implicated.
Yeah. So do with that information whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, so STONK is currently a top 40 revenue-generating project according to DeFi Llama, sitting right alongside the other SOL goats like Radium and Meteora. Almost 6% burn in the first week, and all the integration's not even live yet.
Yeah, so they're just making a comparison here. It's like, some new launchpad is outdoing, these legacy dexes that are trading at, 5 to 10 to 20x the valuation. That's a little odd.
Yeah.
Right? So, again, do with that information what you want. It's just that you got to make a bet on if this will continue or not, this type of ecosystem activity. And I think it's a decent bet just because it is like the first provisioner on Solana that we've seen so far that it's trying to package together some kind of experience that what everybody seems to be want access to.
Yeah.
And right now the bulk of that is on Robinhood, right?
Yeah, and Radium supporting it. StonkFun is the home for tokenized anything paired with anything, powered by Radium.
Okay. Anything paired with anything, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, why not? They didn't want to say like stocks.
No.
Or maybe they said it in another tweet, right?
Yeah. All right, so let's continue on here. So we're looking at Tree. It says some new updates coming this week on a Tree utility. This Tree is a meme stock. Hold it, and trading fees pay you in Apple. Real Apple exposure. That's the base where we've actually interested in what gets built on top. So meme stocks are new. Tokenized equities on Solana are barely a year old as a liquid market, and almost nobody has tried to make them do anything beyond paying out. We think that's the opportunity for a series of on-chain experiments and narratives that give people a reason to dive deep into a category at all. So the first game loop, it's a game.
Yeah, that's important.
Accumulate 0.1 apple, earn a seed, plant it, and harvest 30,000 tree 7 days later. Pull the Cali Gacha, that's the name of their gacha mechanic, to grow faster and harvest heavier.
I see. So it's not just like you could just become a passive recipient of Apple and just like you're happy with that, right?
Right.
Or you could utilize that Apple and some new yield mechanic. Think of this as like yield farms. Remember those days?
Yeah. 10,000% yields.
Yeah, except this time like the fuel to growth is not a crypto, it's an equity token.
Yeah,
right.
right.
So it's like, plant it, watch it grow, and then it increases the your holdings of the base asset itself, the trees, right? Therefore, you're receiving more apple, right? You're producing more fruit.
Yes.
And then you can just essentially compound that into the future.
It's kind of like a money tree, huh?
That's what they say. But nonetheless, and then add a gacha component in the middle of all of it. So if you really want to like accelerate your harvesting abilities, get to gambling.
That's right.
So clearly this is a dev who's like paying attention to the market.
Yeah.
Understands what's working versus what's not. And then this is what you're supposed to do. If you're like developing in crypto, you're supposed to figure out what everyone else isn't doing, right? It's like, hey, there's a launch pad here working, but everyone's just creating memes. It's like, how about we add some layer of complexity on top of that?
Yeah.
Maybe even solve some of these like potential securities violations if they do exist. You know, nobody.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody say that.
Yeah, who am I to say?
Yeah.
Who am I to judge? I'm just saying, in case there ever are, some like layer of difficulty or like work
effort
might actually, you know, help absolve some of these negative sentiments down the road.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Why not?
I've looked into it and you're correct.
So you're the guy. You're the guy making the judgments, not me, dude. I think all this is great.
Right.
You know?
All right. So new to Tree. Here's the system in one image. Tree turns a reward into a visible on-chain garden. So you got tree, gives you apple, that gives you a seed. You get the tree, and then you harvest. So you do not need to memorize jargon. Follow the steps. And let's take a look at this. It says tree in 60 seconds, a reward loop you can see. Hold tree, finalized apple X rewards, since sync to your garden. And then at 0.1 apple X, a wallet-bound seed is issued.
How much is apple worth? Do you know off the top of your head?
I do not.
It's got to be in the hundreds, right?
It's about a couple $100.
Okay, let's say it's $200. So that's what, $20?
$20, yeah.
Okay.
So plant the seed in one of the 5 plots, and then it says 4 on-chain growth stages. Normal growth is 7 days. And it says the optional Cali, it requires 10,000 tree. Pull may shorten remaining time and or add a tree bonus.
Or you get wrecked.
Yeah.
You didn't include that. But
Correct.
that's the case with any Gacha pool, right? If you're over there on FWA making pools, it's like, yeah, you might get the $100,000 crypto punk.
Yeah.
Or you might like go lose 80% of your value.
Yeah,
like,
in this
instantly.
case you burn 10,000 tree, but you only get 1 day, which is like you should have just waited 1 day, right? Instead of burning the 10,000.
Yeah.
So number 4, harvest 30,000 tree base and then plant again and continue the loop. So you're harvesting for 30,000 tree every time the loop completes.
Pretty cool. Yeah, so I think it's interesting. So it's kind of like a little bit stems off of what we talked about in our last video with what's it called, NetNet Capital project. Yeah. That's on Robinhood. They're trying to promote this whole RW play angle where it's like, you know, these new primitives can do more than just like sit in your wallet and compound value over time. And like, yeah, why not put them to work and like let's build gamify new experiences around them. And, you know, because ultimately that might be like the vector of attraction for retail, right? Like, you know, because I think retail, once they realize like, you know, there's a new methodology to exposing myself to the stock market. That's not just me opening a brokerage account and like, you know, buying a stock itself. It's just kind of boring.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a Gen Zer.
Yeah.
I watch Twitch all day and I fucking play Fortnite and Roblox and such. It's like, well, here's this new thing like that. If I, you know, degen around a bit, playing some new game, growing some crops, whatever, I'm earning stocks. That's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of like our dream, right? Whenever play to earn was a thing.
Yeah.
It's like, man, imagine if like all games were like this.
Yeah.
All the time I spent on WoW wouldn't have been a waste. Like imagine if like all the time we spent playing WoW, like I was earning Blizzard shares.
That'd be amazing.
That would be incredible, dude.
You'd be several times a millionaire right now.
Fuck. Now I'm fucking mad, dude. How's the world not this awesome?
Right.
But now there's a chance to make it that awesome, right?
Yeah. Thank you, blockchain.
Thank you.
All right, so let's take a look at the Cali mechanic. It says Cali is our gacha. You spend 10,000 tree per pull cut to cut growth time and bonus tree or both. So this update makes it more attractive for gardeners. 8 outcomes, exact odds are published. Speed Cali now cuts 1, 3, or 6 days off remaining growth. And multiple Cali stack on one tree. So best harvest is still 30,000 tree per seed at 7 days.
Okay, so this is their gotcha mechanic explained. So yeah, again, it's interesting.
So where are we at with tree? We're at 327,000 market cap.
Yeah, peanuts, dude, cheeklets.
Yeah. So
if you're looking for, I mean, so let's go back to the platform, StonkFun, just to kind of take a final look at it. You know, this is typical of like a token launchpad, right? You're just kind of looking like what's the funniest thing here? What has like the deepest community roots to it?
There's Clinker.
Yeah, is there anything with like any influencer involved in things?
This is a tree.
There's tree. Yeah, so it's like, okay, this one is a little different from the rest of them, right? So you're hoping at some point the market kind of comes to appreciate that. And maybe it sets a signal for a meta if it actually does blow up. Who knows?
Yeah, so what you're saying is everything here is a meme except so far the tree.
Yeah, so therefore it makes it a little more interesting, right? And there's some
it's a differentiator.
Some effort, some work happening here. Yeah, so that's all. It's important to kind of like find those things, right? Because then that's how you end up finding things like stockbrokers before everybody else, right? Oh,
that's right.
There's something here on Robinhood that's unlike everything else that we were seeing so far. So far, Robinhood's live. Everyone's excited because Cash Cat's running, and everyone is launching Cash Cat competing memes on platforms like Pawns.
Yeah.
But there's this weird dev over here who thinks we should be, fucking around with NFTs again.
Yeah.
That's odd. That's a little unusual. So you should look into that. And then we did. We made a video.
Yeah.
And it went ham, right?
That's right.
So it's like, this is it. This is what you do every cycle.
All right, final tweet. It says, every cycle there's something new that goes 100,000x. Have we seen something go 100,000x?
I mean, Nat Cats did like a 10,000x.
10,000x, yeah.
100,000x? I mean, Bitcoin.
That's true.
Ethereum. But yeah, it's hard to do that in a single cycle, but maybe it's possible.
Yeah, this cycle, I believe, will be RWAs and stock paired memes. Binance, Robinhood, and Solana have all been pushing RWAs. They know memes bring an absurd amount of new users and volume. We've already seen Binance Alpha list Mars Coin, Valid publicly speak about pushing RWAs and follow the RWA leader on Robinhood, which is Index, and Solana builds Sunrise, while both Solana and Radium publicly support STONK. So when betting on attention moving to RWAs, you're betting the TradFi bros like them. That'll be the primary group that pushes them higher. You also have their biggest meme coin chain publicly pushing them, not investing in them, basically betting against Binance, Robinhood, and Solana. So I already wrote a catalyst for these coins, but once again, over the next year, I can see stock meme accounting for a real percentage, like 2 to 5% of total volume in underlying stock. At the peak of the last top memes, we're doing about 100 million volume per day. GME currently gets around 80 million daily volume. And so, yeah, I totally agree. RWA's the next big thing.
Yeah, but it's important to really, really, really pay attention to what he's saying here at the very end. Like, this really matters. GameStop, soft shilling a coin paired to its stock could easily boost both volume and buy pressure. So I think that is like the big game here. And I think he's a little wrong. Like, I've done this like investigation myself too, because I've had this thought myself. It's like that is the ultimate signal for people to kind of like rush in. It would be some sort of meme coin or NFT or whatever that's paired to a stock on chain doing so well that it actually has an influence on the price, like the underlying value of the equity asset itself. Like, and it's possible, it's achievable, because there's some equities out there like GameStop that really don't have that much volume to it, but they have massive community reach.
That's right.
Massive retail awareness. So it's like, that is the game. Everybody should be participating here. Is like, find your stock, build your product, pair it, and then, do what we do best. It's like, let's create a mania out of it. And his like analysis here of like in the top of the meme days, 100 million. No, some of the memes at the top of those days were doing billions in volume every day. Like Fartcoin, for example.
Yeah.
At its peak, there was a 24-hour period where it did 3 billion in volume.
Yeah.
So if there were a coin like Fartcoin or an NFT project like Bored Apes or CryptoPunks or whatever, and it's like paired to a company like GameStop, that would absolutely have an influence on the price and like the buy pressure of the stock itself, and that would absolutely capture the awareness and the attention of like the masses.
Yeah, and the GameStop CEO would definitely say something about it, and therefore
that's right.
That meme goes even closer to 100,000x.
Yeah, it could happen. Yeah. We don't know if it's going to be GameStop or it could be one of Elon's companies. Who knows?
Yeah.
It could be any of these companies. Like who's going to successfully build the right on-chain like energy wheel that latches onto the off-chain world and like, sends the signal like this is a new thing happening in the market, right? And we've seen this in the past with like NFTs. Like we were early to NFTs, right? We were like asking ourselves like, what's it going to take for the world to actually think that NFTs are cool the way we do? It's like, well, it's likely going to be like some headline where somebody, you know, makes $1 million selling an NFT. And then that eventually happens. And guess what? People come surging in, interested in NFTs all of a sudden.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you an example. Doge. Elon mentioned Doge in 2021. It sent this to 80 billion.
80 billion?
80 billion.
Yeah, so that means one of these, it might not even been created yet, right?
Yeah.
But that is the opportunity, I think, the scope of opportunity around this whole RWA connection to the crypto space angle, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, if that doesn't get you juiced up and like excited for the next cycle, then I don't know.
Yeah.
Fuck it, dude.
Yeah, wake up, dude.
Play paintball or something, I guess. I don't know. It also sounds kind of cool.
Yeah. All right. That's it for us. We've been talking about RWAs. We're going to be talking about more RWAs coming soon. And if you guys find anything interesting in the space, Solana, Robinhood, Binance, doesn't matter what it is, let us know in the comment section below. I appreciate you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Peace.